So are we still under the mandate for the masks, or are we able to take them off?
I think we're still under the mandate.
All right, just making sure. All right, so call the meeting to order at 6:08. So first we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I don't know if people are, please stand. Face the flag. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First moment, site of prayer and meditation. Thank you. And now we will do roll call.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here, present.
Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz. Here. Commissioner Nguyen,
Here.
Commissioner Baez,
Present.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana, Vice Chair Mulner,
Here.
Chair Torres.
Here. All right, thank you. Next, we have oral communications. We have no speakers, I believe. So,
I just wanted to say something.
okay, sure.
So I know that I got to work with you guys for a little bit, but now we've brought on Roxanne Roma. She's our new assistant city manager. And so her focus is going to be community services, so she'll be your point of contact moving forward. I'm still here if you need anything, but she'll be able to help you as well.
Okay.
So any questions, concerns, ideas, give her a call. All right, it was a pleasure working with you guys. I know I'll still see you guys around, and like I said, anything that you need, I'm still here. But our focus is a little bit different so that we can keep the city running. So she's helping me out a lot by taking this over.
Thank you for all your help and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Roxanne Lerma. This is day 2 of week 3 for me. I spent the last 10 years over in the city of La Fuente, so right next door, the director of community services over there. Prior to La Fuente, I was in the city of Colma, a little under 5 years, and then prior to that, I was in the city of Yorba Linda. I have a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in public policy and administration. And I am just thrilled to be able to assist and support the community in any way that I can. So again, thank you, for allowing me to serve.
Thank you, welcome. Looking forward to it. And thank you for the short time you served.
You're in much better hands.
All right, so next we'll move on to the consent calendar. All right, so first item is July 13th, 2021 Community and Senior Services Commission meeting minutes. Any comments, questions? Motion to approve? None. So moved. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Diaz, Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Nguyen,
Approved.
Commissioner Baez, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana. Vice Chair Mulner and Chair Torres.
Aye.
Motion carried by a vote of 6-0 with 4 absent.
All right. Next, we'll move on to new business. And we'll have a status of city flush shelter.
On the 29th of July, brought up to bring forward the status of bus shelters. And the city owns about 100 bus shelters. And we have 50 that are owned by advertising group called the Clear Channel. They do the advertising as well as the maintenance of those. While we are, some of those are in need of replacement, and at present, we are in the midst of a transit services evaluation started in July, and that we expect to finish up the first part of next year. And that evaluation may end up in the reconfiguration of alignments, removal of stops and that sort of thing. So we're recommending that we feel that evaluation is complete to bring this shelter issue back.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
We're also currently working with Athens on some of the bus shelters around Plaza West Covina to address the maintenance of those.
And can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm not sure.
We'll hopefully have some more information on that, but we are looking to address the, like I said, the bus shelters around the Plaza West Covina Mall. I think that's where the, a lot of the, Silver Street buses pick up and go directly to downtown LA. So those are kind of like the connecting ones, so revamping those bus shelters.
And can I add something to that as well? Because I think this is the agenda that I requested, right? About this bus. Okay. So I wanted to know if we can change the way the trash cans, how they're designed, because here's an example. I don't know if you guys would like to pass it around, but here's an example of how I think the trash can should be designed, because this will prevent, when it rains, it'll prevent rain from getting inside the trash can. And it'll prevent, you know, other trash being compiled that sits on top of the trash cans currently. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to add that in there. Thank you.
It's a covered option.
Yeah.
George, you mind if you grab that?
Yeah.
I know that there's some that have it, right?
And it opens from the side to change the trash can. You can pull the trash can out.
And, keep that in mind when we replace those.
Yeah. And
And also,
also,
there's some transit evaluations going on currently. We're going to have a survey up live probably next week. We can email the links out to you as well.
For a survey for what?
Transit evaluation.
Oh, okay.
And so we have a consultant that is handling that, looking at the foothill traffic and warnings and things like that, as well as our dialogues to kind of inform the next RFP, request for proposals for transit services that we're going to be doing the first part of next year.
and then also one more thing I would like to add. I noticed that when the city worker came to change the trash, he took out the old trash bag, but there was still like trash sitting in the bottom of the trash can loose. And then he just put the new trash can on top of it, and that old trash remained there. So I don't know how that can be
George, you know which
resolved.
shelter that was?
That was the one by the post office, West Covina Post Office.
On West Covina Parkway.
Yeah, West Covina Parkway. Yeah.
So that's one of the ones that we're trying to address with Foothill in the
Yeah.
more current future.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have a contractor that handles that, but we'll reach out to them to make sure that that's taken care of.
Okay, but I don't think that's the only one that's like that though, because I do notice others around that have the trash on the bottom. So I don't know how that can be, you know, resolved on how to prevent that. But anyway.
We'll bring that issue up to them.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe it could be the same as, I don't know what kind of contract we have, but remember you modified the contract, Mike, for the trash enclosures? For the contractor to pick up trash within the enclosure, not only inside the bin.
Understood.
Something that can be added into the bus maintenance contracts to make sure that the contractor is also cleaning out the the casing.
Well, they come by once a week and do they power wash the shelters and do the trash. I'm not sure that they come by and do the trash, more than once a week.
Right, but just when they remove the actual bin or the bag,
Uh-huh.
to also clean the inside
Yeah.
of the compartment, the receptacle, yeah. What George was referring to is, yeah. Because I know there was a problem with the park trash enclosures,
Oh, okay.
where you had the big bins, but in the enclosure it was all full of trash.
Yeah.
And Mike was able to modify the contract
Yeah.
to put that in there for the contractor to be responsible for cleaning that up.
Oh, okay.
So I would think it would work the same way in that case.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Did we say Athens or Foothill?
So I have a question for the bus. I know that we want to put it off, but you went into detail about the number of trash cans we have. So I just had some questions on that. The 100 cans, are those our cans, or is that 100 include the 50 that are the clear channel ones?
100 are ours and 50 are clear channels.
So a total of 150?
Right.
Okay, so when we do this transit evaluation, how are I know it's primarily focused on like the actual routes and how the buses are working. So how is the bus shelter maintenance and the bus shelter condition, how is that being incorporated into the study?
Okay. When the issue was brought up last time, it was concerned about, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounded like looking for alternatives to replace those existing to prevent homeless from taking up residence. That sounded like a concern. So, those are not inexpensive pieces to do. So in that regard, it's a hold off. We're looking at, removing some of those. Maintenance is affected by that evaluation. Those are issues we can address.
Okay, so the scope of work for this transit service evaluation is already done? It's already out, I guess it's happening now or it
Yes.
started? So it's not in that scope of work, like the evaluation of the shelters, like the condition? So we're gonna do that on our own at some point, or how are we gonna know, like what George was mentioning, how are we gonna know what cans are in good condition, what cans do have that cover?
The city's looking for ways to replace all the bus shelters now. It's a high priority, so that process, I don't know exactly how that process is gonna work. The goal is to remove existing shelters and go to a new type of shelter that addresses the issues of the homeless, the trash, all that nature. But the actual process, I don't know yet. I think we're waiting for the transit audit to come back and then go from there.
Is there a way to revise the scope of work and put that in there somehow? Because I have one reference I could kind of remember many years ago when I graduated from school. One of my first jobs was, as an intern, was to do like a bus shelter inventory for the city, I can't remember, some city near San Diego. I literally had to go to each bus stop and take pictures, take like notes, measurements, all these different items they wanted me to check off. And they were able to input all those things into a database. And then they had like a map where it showed all the bus shelters, and it showed like pictures of them, and it showed the condition of them and what needed to be improved, whether it was ADA compliant, all sorts of different parameters they kind of asked me to do. I wasn't involved in the actual analysis, I was just the picture taker and the note taker, but I know that's pretty comprehensive, but something like that, since they're going to be looking at all the bus shelters and all the bus stops, I don't know if they're going to physically go there, but if they are, if they could do a quick and dirty sort of evaluation, pictures, take some notes on things so that we know. I don't know if that exists already either. I don't know if we have like a comprehensive inventory and like know what's wrong with all the bus shelters.
What's wrong?
Or what needs to be improved, yeah.
No, we don't. And that might be part of the CFP process, and that might be us, driving around and checking those things out and taking pictures and so forth. I don't think we can change the scope of work. We're pretty far into that process already.
Okay.
That's because this is gonna be a.
Yeah, that makes
The
sense. I was just
transit
curious.
study is more about what's rides or what the usage from the ridership, not so much the infrastructure of the bus shelters.
Okay, yeah, then I think that's where the confusion was, because you're asking to hold off on the bus shelter maintenance issue because of the transit service
It is
evaluation.
related and it's not. So the transit study will address, what are the bus routes, where are we gonna, what's a better way of providing transportation to our residents? Is it to keep the Go West? Is it to provide something like Monrovia does, which is they subsidize the Lyft ridership for the residents within the community? So that's what we're trying to address. So before we look at the bus shelters, we want to see if we're going to keep those bus stops. And if so, then it would make sense to, yes, upgrade them and provide maintenance. But if we're not, then it's not, efficient use of funds to update them and then tear them down. I think the study's going to be done in January, so I don't think it's too far out to have us hold off until then, and then do some kind of inventory and see, okay, if we're going to be changing the routes on the buses that for Go West, then we can do an inventory of what bus shelters need repair, maintenance, and what that maintenance is.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So then in February, you think this could come back
Come back is.
as an item I think you mean in February, right?
I think if you give us a couple months after we have this, is that staff time to go around and do an inventory of the 100 bus shelters? It might not take us a month. So if you give us maybe 4, 5 months after that, we can probably bring back something to the
Okay.
commission.
So hopefully April,
Yeah.
In February.
because then we're gonna have, it's gonna be like this time next year when we get it, but yeah, I guess, it's definitely, we understand the limitations on staff.
Can I add one thing to that? Is there any way we can add to the bus stops, like, no squatting or for bus riders only or something like that? Because there's a lot of people that, especially at the West Covina Parkway, a lot of people just gather around there, and they're not bus riders. And they're sitting there for hours and, so anyway, I was just wondering if we can do that.
I'm not sure we can look into that.
Okay.
If you have any insight to that, but they have a lot of rights. It is public property.
Yeah.
And so like they can go hang out at a park and sit there all day. Huh?
We don't want that.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is they have a lot of rights, right?
Okay.
So I don't think we can take for use of bus riders, or which really is that's the intent, but if they want to sit there and they pick up a bus later, hours after they sat there, I think they're right. But
Yeah.
we can look into seeing what, if any, options we have.
That would be great, yeah, thank you.
May I bring up these are issues that would be pertaining to the metro. Aren't they the ones that handle those little cabin or whatever they call them, the shelters? That's part of the metro. It's not we, the city. Am I correct or am I wrong? Isn't that the city has nothing to do with that? It's laws by the metro that takes care of signs. We can't put our own signs. It has to be approved by metro. Am I correct or am I?
Well, we own 100 of the shelters. We have shelters that are set up for our specific routes. Foothill does have a number of shelters within the city and metro as well. And so each agency maintains their own. So we would have discretion to put something up if that's allowed within the 100 that are ours.
Because to me, how can you control if someone is just sitting there?
Yeah, you probably can't, but no, you probably can't, but I was just thinking like
As
maybe, just to find a way to deter them a little, you
As
know?
far as sitting there, I mean, nothing like that, but one of the main things we've been looking at is that somebody can't get too comfortable and lay there. I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
basic things come there, so we've looked at, you know, with some of the shelters, some of the things we recommend is the
Yeah.
bars, so you can't lay across it. But then we've also seen bars where people are small enough they can get underneath the bars. So,
So we
you know,
try to deter that with the design,
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
but, yeah, there's a lot of laws that protect them from using those spaces.
Right, right.
If they are breaking the law by any means, their police officers can do something, but
Yeah.
until that happens.
Yeah, okay, thank
So
you.
do we have a map that exists now of all the bus stops? Or
On
something?
the, internet,
Something that shows like,
that's on the city's website, the GIS map.
that's on there? But do we have something internal, like a PDF or something that kind of shows the 100 that are ours, the 50 that are clear channels, the other 100 that are probably other agencies?
Probably extract from that, GIS.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Is
do
there
we
any-
want that as full of information, or does it matter? Then we
Yeah,
really
it-
take the
it's
GIS
just-
to reflect that.
So the only reason I'm asking is because it would be good to know, just because if they're city-owned, then we know who to contact. If they're owned by Clear Channel, we know, and then if they're foothill ones, we know.
The ones without the advertising panels are ours, the ones with the advertising panels are clear channels. Okay?
On the bench.
Right, yeah, the panels with the signage.
Yeah, real estate.
And all the green ones are the city listings.
Regardless, you can report anything on the, app.
Okay, let me write that down real quick. So the green ones are the cities. The ones with the green bus shelter. And then the clear channel ones would be, like you said, the ones with the advertising.
Right,
And you said they're 100% responsible for those?
yes.
Even, so if there's a trash can there, they're responsible for doing that?
We have to
Happens too.
see-
Athens picks it up on Wednesdays.
So Athens has a contract with them?
I can't see, I think it's, I think it's,
Their
yes.
contract is probably part of the city's waste contract.
Okay. All
It's
right.
just the maintenance of the shelter.
So
If there's been
Athens,
any issue, you can report it through the city app and report it. And we'll take care of it accordingly, whether it's the city bus shelter or, the one owned by Clear Channel.
and who maintains ours? Who picks up the trash for ours? Athens as well? Okay. Do you know if there's numbers on the bus stops, phone numbers to contact somebody?
Probably there is.
No. Alright. So I know it'll be at some time, but just so we're clear, are you guys okay with coming back on when they can do it? Hopefully by April, but if after, so be it. But with the status of the city bus shelters, did you want just that, or did you want something like I was talking about that's more comprehensive, where it kind of has an inventory of what, you know, what conditions they're in, what the condition of the trash cans are, the shelter itself? And I guess the same question for you, like what would we be getting in April if you were able to meet that date? Would it just be a status of all the shelters, like an inventory? Yeah.
And where we plan to keep them.
Right, so you'll know
Place them.
which ones you're keeping by then.
Right.
Okay.
And then if we need to, we can map it out.
Well, I think they said they have one. They have-
Well, yeah, but if you're getting rid of some of them, then we have to update them.
Right, yeah. We'd have to update the map.
And then the other thing I would suggest is that we be vigilant as we drive around. And if we see something that needs repairing, we call them.
I mean, we wouldn't submit, to be fair with you, we wouldn't submit everything. You know, we try our hardest to respond as quickly as possible we can. There are certain items that are bigger than we can get to, or whatever the case is, but the more we know, the better. I mean, we like the information, and the vote request has been working great for us. I think people are seeing that we're getting back, we're getting out, we're responding. Like I said, 100% of, it's hard to get 100% of everything, but we definitely want, the more you let us know, there's not, we need eyes and ears everywhere.
So then, is it okay for us to lay out what items we would want to see in, you know, next year in April for the status of the bus shelters?
Sure.
Okay, so you wanted to see the trash cans, right? Like the.
Yeah, I was just mainly concerned about the maintenance and trying to prevent whatever they can do to deter people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Commissioner Wayne was saying that if you could make that part of the inventory, like the trash cans. And then, I always was wondering if,
You say about the
lighting.
inventory when you make a condition of them?
No, that was actually my question. I was just okay with meeting back about it regarding my agenda about the trash can modification and keeping the upkeep and trying to deter people. Yeah, that's.
Robert, to answer your question, from the direction I think we received, the goal is to get this done, find out what the stops are going to be, and then approve them all. So we're hoping we can come to you with a quick resolution saying, hey, this is what the audit said, this is where we think the best transportation will come from. On top of that, you know, if we have, you know, maybe we're 100 shelters, maybe we're 75, whatever we are, replacing those with the funds available, putting new stuff in that addresses the issues you're talking about, the trash cans, the, you know, benches that they can't lay on, things of that nature. And obviously, a new modern look and freshening up what the city looks like. That's been a big goal of this council, and that's definitely what we're trying to accomplish. Don't know, like I said, on the back end, I know engineering is already working on the process. So this is, I think the hope, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think the hope is to go simultaneously. You know, so you're going to get what the audit says and what's going to be replaced and what it's going to be replaced with. You know, so that's what I envision, and I think they want it to happen yesterday, so I'm hoping you will have something by April.
Okay,
Makes sense?
sounds good, yeah.
That's what
Any other questions on this item? Okay. So receive and file, motion to receive and file. Do I have a second? Okay. Do we need a roll call for that, or? No, right? All right, so item number 4, my request to discuss the alternative uses of California Park Care. So the reason I brought this one up, I had mentioned it a little bit, I think to Mike in the past, and I think I mentioned last meeting, was to kind of look at what we can do there besides what's existing, which is a small top lot, I guess you would call it, a smaller playground. Because at some point, we're looking at scheduling that for a new playground when we prioritize all the playgrounds, right? And I don't know where it's on the list. I think it's pretty far down, right, for the new playground?
I'd have to go back and look at minutes, but I believe it was probably 7th or 8th down the list, so we do have a few in front of us.
Right, so as far as urgency goes, I don't think it's that urgent in the sense that it probably won't be touched for a while. But when we do get there, I was trying to figure out whether we want to invest the, $100,000 or however much it's going to cost to put the new playground in. Because it's so small, and then in my experience, I don't know how much it's used. I live nearby, so I drive often, and I've never seen it being used. But it could be because of the condition, it could be because of the location. And so I was just trying to see if we could kind of already give some sort of recommendation either to staff or to the council to kind of look into that and explore different options. The obvious one that I brought up was the dog park. I think it meets the criteria for a small dog park. And it also will have minimal maintenance because we could probably do turf instead of, or artificial turf, hopefully that, maybe is more maintainable, and that area has like a lot of apartments that maybe dog owners don't have that amenity to use, and it would have more activity there. So right now, when you go there in the night or during the day, it's just kind of dead, and that would kind of revive that space. It would give old dog owners a place to take their dogs, and it would have more activity. And it seems like it would work with the dimensions and how it's set up. And I think I remember there was no red curb there, so there's parking on both sides of the street. So there's plenty of public parking there, and it's not used much. Because I think it's like a water company, right, that's there. So yeah, that was just an idea I had, and then I just wanted to hear what you guys had thoughts on that, or if you had other ideas. The dog park is just one. But as far as anything you would want to see that space used, and it's, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a small space, maybe half the size of this room, maybe a little bigger. So, but yeah, definitely not the size of this room, right? Or
It might, with the driveway, it might be close to the size of this room.
okay,
The driveway going to that
it's about the
section.
size of this room, maybe a little small. But yeah, you have a driveway over here, so that's like a third of it. So it's pretty small. So yeah, I just wanted to see if anyone had thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Okay.
No, nothing. I have to see it,
Okay.
and I don't know that I have.
Okay, so, yeah, I was hoping that we could talk about it today, but yeah, like I said, it's not a rush, so if you want to pass by and you want to look at it and you want to kind of evaluate what you think would be best there, that's kind of the discussion I'm hoping to have at some point, to see if we could actually make a recommendation. Again, we don't have any power to actually make it happen, but we can recommend that either city staff or the city council kind of look at that and possibly explore converting that at some point into a dog park.
It's on California, right?
Yeah, it's called California Parquet.
Right. I think it's on California.
Commissioner Torres?
Yeah.
Just a reminder, depending on what the funding source is, the plan, obviously, this commission's talked a lot and has a big part of designing playgrounds. Depending on how we move forward and what the funding source is, just a reminder that with the Measure A funds that we are using for the playgrounds, part of that is community outreach. So, once the community's decided what we want, then it comes to the commission and design and goes in there. But as of right now, if California was the next park, it would be Measure A funding that's used for that, and the community would have to put in input. And all that would take place as part of that, as our submittal for the grant funding. So, remind you, you can make a recommendation here, but with the funding source that we currently have for the playgrounds, what we've been looking for, there is that piece. So, if the commission recommended something else and the community wasn't behind it, we'd have to find an alternative funding source. So just a reminder on that, and then moving forward on the playgrounds, the community outreach will be a big part of that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time around we did that, the park needs assessment, so.
Yes, that process would happen again. So when we move on to the next playground or whatever area is decided, that will be a big part of the process.
Right, and so then if that's brought up, and then the community can discuss, and then if they're no-go or the residents really don't want it, then we can go in a different direction.
Or like I said, if something's decided and it's support and we can find an alternative, park development funds or general fund money or, whatever the case may be, it just be an alternate funding source. At this time for the playgrounds, we've earmarked, the goal's been to take care of a lot of our infrastructure with the playgrounds with that money.
Right.
We can potentially do a playground a year with that.
Right, yeah. All right, sounds like a plan. So if you could, fellow commissioners could take a look at that in the next 2 months, I guess. We could have a discussion in February. Just try by there. If you need directions to find it, I can provide that too. But it's California, south of Cameron, just south of Cameron. All right, so we could receive and file that. We don't need a roll call for that, right? No. Okay. you. So next item is number 5. This was something that I brought up, and I was hoping to get feedback again to see what you guys thought of doing some sort of community service event together as a commission. So I just wanted to throw that out there, see if anyone had any ideas on what we could do. It could be as simple as a trash pickup. It could be like partnering with another organization, doing charity work, working with the school district, anything that we can kind of do something together as a group and kind of dedicate at least a few hours of a certain day, maybe not the whole day.
Not the whole thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I have I just wrote items down here like that: the community cleanup, charity event, maybe partnering with like the sports organizations.
Maybe with something the dreams, the baseball type or.
Big dreams.
One that was called that.
Oh, that's right. West Covina Sports Complex.
Yeah,
Part of me.
something we could do there to generate interest.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Sports complex.
I just have a general comment directed to staff. So if the commission decides that let's say a community cleanup or a neighborhood cleanup or something to that kind of effect might be something we could work on, based on the nature and level of complaints that come into the city from the different districts, the different neighborhoods, what would be your recommendation that might be something viable the commissioners can be involved in? Because a neighborhood will come out. If we announce a neighborhood cleanup and supplies are provided, trash bags, gloves, and things like that, and maybe if we partner with like a fire department or police or something, it'll come out. But I think you would want to pick a neighborhood that is in need of that type of help. I mean, it's like, for example, a couple of years ago, I participated in a homeless count, and I ended up in a neighborhood that was primarily condos. So the count was pointless. So I think we would want to look into a neighborhood that really needs help.
Obviously, we will help with that. We'll help with locations, we help with equipment, we help with gloves, we help with locations. What's been popular is our Adopt a Park program. Not to get off track. Adopt a Park is something that lots of groups have wanted to do. I'll be frank with you, on Saturday mornings, our parks look good. So when the groups want to come out, a lot of groups come out and they're there to pick up trash. They're like, hey, the park's pretty clean. There is time we need help at the park, but sometimes that's Sunday evening, Monday morning, whatever the case is, but our contract is picking up trash there 7 days a week. So that being said, helping with locations where stuff is, we could definitely go through our GoGov app and see where we have lots of issues, complaints. There's other stuff too, like homeless encampments and things like that, but that's something that we're probably hesitant and something we really need to discuss before we send somebody in there. There's proper training, stuff, and there's risks with that. So making sure
If I may, through the chair, one of the things that we could do, if you guys are open to it, is of course come back to you with some possible opportunities for you to really dig your hands into things that, working with, the maintenance end of it, again, just finding viable projects and giving you guys some options, and then we'll take into consideration some of those issues that may be perhaps not in the best interest of the commission to take care of. So we'll kind of weed those out, come up with some programs or some possible options for you, and if that's the direction that you want to go, then we'll go that direction, or you can send us back to the drawing board. But allow us to come back with some options for you.
I would suggest looking with the holidays coming and everything, perhaps we could gear our interest towards maybe working with food banks. and encouraging people to come and get their Thanksgiving or Christmas meals and help there, because I'm sure they're limited on helpers.
And toy drive, maybe?
Well-
A toy drive for holidays?
Toy drive, yeah. Toy drive.
I think the police department does that, so maybe we can help them.
Lots of people do. And they all, it's great, especially circumstances this year.
So yeah, that's another goal. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, one thing that I noticed that is often forgotten about when we are a senior in community, we have toy drives already, we have trash pickup, the city picks up. But one thing I think we can do as a commission is maybe go and visit seniors, like the senior community that Sherry Fisher, she's not here tonight. Maybe we can go to a place like that and kind of have a little dinner gathering with them and let them know we're here for them and want to spend time with them. Because yes, they're in the community, but people don't really go and visit them very much. Maybe just their families, but us as a city, I think, something like that. We can go and yeah, Christmas caroling, that's nice. But I think as us as a city, we can show that here in the city, we're there for them. We can have a little dinner gathering, talk to them, converse, get to know them, and other senior communities,
come
not just
here.
here. Yeah, even coming here and stuff like that. Because other stuff, we already have support on that. But anyway, it's just an additional idea.
Is it open, the senior center now?
Senior center is open, yes.
So there are activities going on.
There are activities, yes. There are activities.
Yeah, we could do that here as well, or
Mhm.
Sure.
or Mineral Gardens. And that's a question I have too. So I think your idea is really good for because I want to make it an ongoing kind of thing. Maybe we could do a few a year. So I would still appreciate that where we're staff to come back with something. But if we wanted to do something in December, we could coordinate that amongst ourselves, or do we have to go through staff and try to get everything approved, or how would that work? So from this day moving forward, if we're trying to plan something for the holidays, would we just email, go back and forth and set it up through staff, or can we, left to work amongst ourselves to do that?
I think if the collective body would need to make a decision on what they wanted to do. So if this is your moment for a meeting and you're looking to do something in December, because December's knocking at our door, right around the corner, that decision, I would really encourage you guys to give some thoughtful consideration to that this evening. Because, just with, Thanksgiving holidays and the other holidays coming up, people's schedules tend to get packed. Things tend to get a little bit hectic, and that might end up falling away. So if there was something that you perhaps wanted to look into do that, I would really encourage you to give some thoughtful consideration now. Otherwise, perhaps, wait until, the new year, starting off, the calendar year with your projects that you want to start doing moving forward.
Okay, yeah, that's a good recommendation. So, I don't think it's that complicated, but I think we could come up with something right now.
What would be good too, Robert, is that, because we have the senior citizens center here, check on their schedule, talk to them, whoever's directing here, and maybe on a certain date, we as commissioners can come and join them.
Exactly.
And
It's already something.
yeah, this is already concrete in here, so we don't have to go out and search for people to help us out. It's already here, so we can select a day. See, like Christmas, okay, they're going to have their Christmas dinner.
Right.
But
We
they're,
should participate.
so that you join them, and then we can all come in here and be with them.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
And talk to them, find out what they want.
What are their needs?
What they think.
So our first event could be lunch with, like, if we want to title it, like lunch with the commission or something to that.
Sure. Would
Like how they have, or,
And one of the opportunities, Paulina reminded me, in-person dining is not something that's happening right now, per county guidelines. However, there are other types of opportunities and other types of events that are coming up, that the staff here at the senior center is already planning, and your ideas about, whether it's, a day with the commission, come out and, we'll participate with you. I think that's a beautiful way of giving back and making sure that the seniors feel that connection to you guys, feel that connection to the community. There are, like I said, there are some events that are coming up. I know that there are some Christmas and holiday type activities coming up in December. December is the month that you are interested in participating with them. We can certainly provide you with those dates.
I think it's a good idea.
yeah, we just tag along for now for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
also a
next year-
5K in December,
Oh, right.
the 5K.
Oh,
Just throwing it out there, it's on the calendar.
Keep going.
If I may, I will give you an example. If you turn to the upcoming events section of your agenda packet,
Right.
and you take a look at Tuesday, December 21st, there's a cookie decorating.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should do that.
And perhaps that's something that you are comfortable with deciding on tonight.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, if everyone else is fine with that, and then we can just tag on. Have a nice-
Bye, thank you.
We could just tag on to that and then figure out whether we want to add on or just tag along, because it seems like it's a pretty good event. It already has the decorating component, but
Yeah, we don't spend any money, just.
And you know what, and sometimes, right, and sometimes your service to the community is just being there to listen,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
showing.
That's what we are, we're senior
Exactly.
commissioners, we should be participating here.
Yeah, community is more than just money, community is gathering together,
Yeah.
working together.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Yes,
that's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm for this.
Because I had a roommate that was a senior, and she came to the senior center for a short time, and she just wasn't interested because she didn't, it was just the same people, didn't really have anybody different that was getting involved, you know what I mean? So she didn't feel, like it was exciting enough. So, yeah.
But I can tell you that that's changing. We were just here, Roxanne and I were just here for the Halloween dance.
Mhm.
They were a lively bunch.
They were?
It was
Oh,
a great,
awesome.
I mean, it was a great day. It was good to see people gather. They were dressed up. They were excited to be here. They enjoyed each other's company. So,
That's good, I'm glad to hear that.
Right. And so if participating in the cookie decorating or any of those holiday type activities, and just as Mike said, they're very, excited to have, to come out and to have that engagement,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask Mike, do they still have the prom for senior citizens?
well, obviously because of COVID, we did not have the senior prom, but as soon as things get back up
Planning
running,
it this coming year?
the plan is to, yes. I
No,
don't know
see,
the
that's
date.
another event that would be very nice too. Because there's music and you get to talk to them, let them know that we're here. Because Christmas, it is very close.
Yeah.
And this takes a little bit of planning, what we're going, if we want to be successful.
Absolutely.
We have to plan on things. So I think that we have to look for something like, for the coming year.
Well, this cookie decorating, I think we can get a lot of headway by coming to that.
Yeah,
I
so,
really do.
whatever, yeah. But,
And if I may, Commissioner Torres, if I may agree, again, we'll come back in January with some other possible, whether it's a project or other ideas, and of course, gain feedback from all of you as well at that time. just looking at the rest of the calendar year and the direction that the commission as a whole wants to move towards having those types of events.
Sounds good. So is there a flyer already made for that?
I do not have one, but I will share one. We'll make sure that the commission as a whole gets a flyer and gets the information. So it sounds like it's the cookie decorating, is that the direction?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question was that, do we want to, I guess, advertise our participation in that flyer? Or are we just kind of impromptu show up?
No, I think it's really, what do you see your role being that day?
I would imagine it would be good to advertise it on the flyer, join the community service, senior commissioners for cookie decorating, just to have, that.
Joining, not taking over.
No, right, yeah.
That's a good point, I think sometimes that could be kind of
We could
tricky.
strangle it.
Yeah, you don't want to give anybody the feeling that perhaps it's being taken over.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like maybe we don't have to be on the flyer, but maybe we can come and we can be introduced.
Right.
So people know who we are. You know what I mean? And appreciate that. Like
Yeah,
kind of a
first
surprise,
year.
like, oh, look at who's here.
First guest worker.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I had the thought of, it would be good to let them know that we're there in case they wanted to, let's say somebody wasn't really interested that much in cookie decorating, but they would see that and say, oh, I have some questions, or they wanted to talk to us, but I could see how it could, there could be that perception that could scare people away too, so I'm fine with just having it, leave it as is, and then they can just show up.
Right. And help in any way we are needed.
Perfect,
Right.
and the soccer and senior center would appreciate, any support, any help that you can get, so
Right.
thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. And, in February, we'll discuss the future events when the last time comes back.
Well,
So,
at that point, we'll have also the cities, the music and arts stuff too.
yeah, and we could also alternate between like senior events and then youth events, community, general events. We could try to balance it so that we participate in a lot of different events. And of course, it's going to be voluntary, I think, right? So whoever can make it, but we'll try to all be there. Okay, sounds good. So should I make a motion for that, or is that just kind of like a receipt and file?
Just to receive and file.
Okay. So please note
Thank you.
the date, which is
Tuesday, December 21st.
Tuesday, December 21st from 11 to 1. And that's actually at the Cortez Park Community and Senior Service Center. Okay, it's here, so. All right. So for those commissioners that can attend, that'll be our first community service event. All right, so moving on to item 6. Okay, so this is along the same lines. I wanted to see if you fellow commissioners were interested in creating a senior recognition / spotlight program. It's different than our, I know we have the senior of the year, I think, right now, or citizen of the year, the annual one. But this one was more of a spotlight program that I was thinking would be really nice to highlight seniors in the community. It would basically be like, the best example I have is like our work newsletter comes out, and on that newsletter it'll say, it'll have a spotlight on a certain employee. Like me, Andy, he does this, it talks about Andy, and it's really nice to see what they accomplish, what they do, the benefits they bring to the community. So that's what I was thinking. So we could either do it like by commissioner, so like each one of us could select a senior we know that we want to spotlight and provide like a little write-up. And then either we could present that here, we can spotlight that senior during our meeting here and invite that senior to be here, or we can also just have that little write-up and spotlight that senior at a council meeting. We'll, present and just say, and do like a PowerPoint and talk about their accolades, their life, and obviously it would be voluntary, so we can reach out and say, hey, would you like to be spotlighted? And if they are okay with it, then we can put that together. And I would think every meeting or even every month, but every 2 months is fine too, because we meet every 2 months. And then each of us can choose. If we don't want to, we can just pass it to the next person. I have a few people in mind already that I could probably ask. So that was kind of what I was thinking about. So we can establish that tonight, and then have our first one on February. And to see, but of course, if you guys feel like we should do something else, or maybe this isn't a good idea, you can feel free to chime in.
I do like the idea of each commissioner selecting, or not selecting, but maybe recommending or nominating someone that they are familiar with, that maybe lives in the neighborhood that they represent. I think that would provide a more diversity in who is selected, because the city is quite large geographically. So I would be really comfortable just selecting each commissioner, if they're comfortable or not. Just picking one person as we roll along, spotlighting folks. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, we can even talk about how we want to do it. Like I threw out those examples, but there's all sorts of ways we could do it. If we work with the staff and maybe get council approval and the city manager's approval, maybe we could even have that spotlight in the on the website. Or I know we discontinued our newsletter, right? So we don't have that anymore. But
I believe there's intent for that to come back, though, and I think, we used to call it the discovery. That would be a great way to highlight people in the community, and depending on if they go back to a quarterly or, bi-monthly, that would be a great way to recognize people.
yeah, that would be awesome, because then we could have a senior spotlight section, and then that's where we would put it, and it would kind of just have a little short description. Do we know if that's going to come back anytime soon, or?
They wanted it back yesterday.
Okay, so yeah, that's another way we could do it. So, okay, so we'll do that. If everyone's comfortable with that, any more comments?
I'm sorry, I have one more.
Yeah.
What if you know a group of volunteers that is doing really great things and they happen to be seniors? Could we do a group, like say John Doe group, that walks around different parts of the neighborhood doing great stuff, instead of just like one person?
I think, if I may, I think that, perhaps each commissioner can have a discretion, whether it's an individual or a group, whether it's a senior or a senior group, or even another community service type group, or league, or whatever you see out there, because, the area, the area that you have your scope of, it is very broad, so there's an opportunity there to really highlight and make that connection with not just the seniors who, but other organizations, other groups, and perhaps we can all learn about what everyone is doing. So I think that's an excellent suggestion, if the commission is open to that, not just seniors, but to groups of seniors or just groups in general.
What would we call it? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Spotlight.
Community spotlight.
Maybe just community spotlight, and then that leaves it wide open. So,
Or like community spotlight committee, have their own little subcommittee.
we can create them.
That's only a folded paper, if I'm not mistaken, that discovered. And it's full color and it's very expensive, and I know they're gonna wanna keep it concise.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think simplifying is probably the
A
best.
small little spot in it is all we're gonna have,
Right.
right?
So,
You know, that's a very, I would be safe to say maybe like a half sheet.
Maybe, it would depend on the content, whether
Correct.
to go in it.
Correct.
And they're so newsy. Everybody wants to get their information into it, so, you know, we'll have to share with the rest of the city.
so for the first, I guess, meeting in February, how would, since we're not gonna have the Discover by then for sure, but,
So your next meeting is actually in January,
Oh,
and then after that'll
January,
be in March. No, that's okay, I just wanna make sure that,
Mhm.
we all have an understanding, you know, and that we're meeting the expectations. So,
Right.
January would be your next meeting, so perhaps, you know, March, we could really, you know, carve out some time to have that discussion and make it something that, is going to be relevant to this commission as well as to the community. And we'll have a better idea come March, what the Discover is gonna look like, what kind of format that's gonna be, and what type of space, will be provided, for this community spotlight or whatever you choose to call it. Sounds good.
so we'll, so you're essentially recommending that we wait till the Discovers, I guess online before we.
So my recommendation is this, is that we will need direction from the city council, because we will be providing them with options as far as what the Discover is gonna look like in the future. Because remember, that it's still a cost to produce something like the Discover. And once we have an understanding of what that is, we'll be able to have a real meaningful conversation about what type of space. You know, you brought up an excellent point. What type of space will be available, what the format's gonna be, so that we can achieve the goal that you are trying to do, what you're trying to meet, with spotlighting the community in a very meaningful manner.
Okay.
And since this is going to be brought up to the council, maybe this is something that when the people that are chosen in the spotlight, that information and the results will be shared with us commissioners, so that way we can put it on social media and not just depend on something that's going to be so expensive. You know what I mean? It could be like my page, West Covina Buzz, I have 14,000 people, and it could be shared on there, you know, and that's, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And other social media pages, like the West Covina City Government perhaps, or other places like that, that don't cost anything, you know? And we can help spread the spotlight.
Or the electronic board at the mall,
Yeah, yeah.
that big,
Oh, that would be really cool.
flashy thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would love to see this out there.
Yeah, that would be
And,
good.
and that's quite spotlight, so you're not gonna.
Yeah, definitely.
So would it be possible to have our first spotlight in January and then, or make it,
I think you said March, right?
So, you know, you have your break, you don't need to get until January. I think you can work on it in January, you know, the marching orders can come out in January, and then by March, you'll have a better idea of what you want to see. You'll have more information by then.
Okay.
You know, Commissioner Torres, I really appreciate, you know, that you want to jump in and dive in. I love that. You know, I love, you know, the recommendations and, you know, the ideas, and I love that the commission as a whole is, you know, really wants to move forward and to be very progressive. But we also want to be able to provide you with the tools necessary and not have, premature conversations. We want to make sure that when we bring something forward to you, that you can be in a position that you can make a decision, so that it's not a topic that keeps coming up again and again. Just like we said, we don't want to be here next year still talking about the bus shelters. You know, we want to be able to provide you with the tools and the information necessary so we can absolutely be your partners in pushing these things forward.
okay.
I agree, loud and clear.
Yeah, and I understand, so then on January, do we wanna have something on the agenda then for?
We can absolutely do that, and we can make some, staff can bring forward some ideas, and then, that can start the conversation, but we can absolutely do that.
And then do we want, at that point, do we wanna have a senior already or a group or a citizen selected?
I think waiting until March,
No, I mean, in January, we would have that person in mind already, and then in March, it would actually come out, or it would be,
I mean, yeah, you guys could have, you can absolutely have that discussion, absolutely.
because I'm guessing we need to have that discussion in January, so then that would be, we can get the information from that person and have it.
And bring it forward.
Yeah,
I understand.
whoever we select, whether
Okay,
it's.
so
a
we
group.
should all bring a resume of somebody.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out what we should do in January, so that's a good idea. Bring, everyone.
Our person,
Right,
not bring the person physically, but a resume of them.
or even multiple.
Well, yeah, all the time my mind is going on, yeah. Really?
And then we could rotate it, it doesn't really matter to me, but we could rotate it in the fashion you guys prefer, however. As long as everyone gets that chance to have their person's 500 approved.
Right.
Okay, so that's a good idea, so let's do that in January, try to come back with some names for groups, either seniors, children, anyone that you think could be spotlighted, and then we'll discuss the options of how to do that. And then
And we, of course, will need to inform the council and, make sure that they're aware of, what's happening and what's going on, so that everybody can be on the same page.
So then, do we want to make a motion just to notify the council that we're considering that? Because what if they just nix it?
Yes.
So then that way they can say, the Community Service Commission is considering this, receive the file or whatever, that they have to approve it.
Yeah, I think that that's the direction we want to go.
Okay, cool. Any further comments? Okay, so I'll make a motion to recommend to the city council that they approve our recommendation for a community spotlight. I don't know if I have to go into all the details, but
I think we have what you, mentioned what you're looking for.
Make it more of a citizen spotlight.
There you go.
well, the reason we went with community was because of the
The
groups.
groups,
Yeah,
Well,
you could say citizens, or I don't know.
Community.
It's okay.
Community spotlight seems like a catch-all.
I don't know if they'll get it with community, but.
I'm sort of confused on this. Does that mean that it doesn't have to be a senior citizen? It can be a young adult or just strictly senior citizen? Because you have to be specific of what is it that you want to do. Who do you want to honor?
And your point is, well, so, when I look at the commission, I see you as Community and Senior Services Commission. So to me, it would be encompassing, unless I misunderstood something, it would be, it could be a young adult, it could be a group of young adults, it could be a senior, it could be a group of seniors, it could be a community service type organization. It's really the sky's the limit when you're looking at it through that lens.
Yeah, I think a little bit of confusion might have been because we started with the idea of just making it seniors, and now we've kind of expanded it, so, which I think is, everyone's okay with.
Yeah.
So,
Expanded to just senior citizens?
No, we expanded it to not only senior citizens, but also the whole community.
Anybody who deserves
Anybody.
it.
But of age. I'm speaking of the age of the person.
yeah, so there's not necessarily an age requirement,
So you can honor a youth then,
right?
a young adult,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
12, 13, or whatever.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be just senior citizens.
Well, that's
That's
why
where we
we're
started.
discussing, that's where we started, and we we agreed that we're gonna not only make it.
Branch it
seniors,
out,
Yeah,
too.
we're gonna branch it out, yeah. Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
senior and community services.
Yeah, and that's, that's a discussion we continue to have. I think we could talk about it more in January when
Do
we
you
have more
want to,
commissioners.
do you want to continue to, do you want us to hold off then and making that recommendation and perhaps
I think that
explore?
that's what we should do. We should continue with this discussion because it is confusing. Like Robert, first you said it was just strictly senior citizens. And yes, I can understand a group of senior citizens being honored. But now it comes that it's going to be for all the community, not just a senior citizen. It could be a young adult, could be a 13-year-old, could be a 14. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's where we're kind of heading.
So why do we wait, why do we rush into something if we still undecided how to plan this? We should wait then until January, table until January, and then have a thorough discussion. By that time, we will bring more things into our ideas in our heads, and then we can discuss it in January instead of rushing this whole plan right through. We want something that will be successful, something that the community will recognize, that we as commissioners are doing something for the community.
But that's what correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you're gonna come back with in January, right? Like kind of the model or just what the idea is to
Well,
highlight.
I think what she's saying is because what's on the table right now is a recommendation to,
For seniors.
proceed something to council, with what you're thinking in this moment. And what she's saying is that she would like some more time to consider it. Because the way that it's agendized is it's agendized as a senior recognition. And so perhaps, the thoughts and the work that she's done, leading up to tonight was around that concept, the senior recognition. So so right now, do you want to extend that courtesy, to come back, table the discussion so that, all members can have the opportunity to think about and plan for a discussion that has a broader scope than just the senior recognition. That's what correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I think.
You're right.
Okay, that's what I think she's saying.
Yeah.
The senior recognition is what you would like to have.
No,
No. She wants to be able, she was prepared to discuss just the senior recognition, is that correct?
Well, if we go just seniors, that's great. But if we're gonna go for the whole community, then it's great with me. I don't care, but let's be specific. What are we going to do? Then you have to delete this over here where it says about senior citizens.
Right. Personally, I don't have any opposition to just doing the senior spotlight. That kind of was what my original idea was. We
See,
could have a
that's the
separate,
confusion, yeah.
we could have two, we could have like a youth spotlight as well, but, that might complicate things. But,
So
just in my
perhaps,
opinion, I'm okay with just going with seniors. If we want to make a decision tonight, if not, then we'll wait till January. And who knows if we'll make it by March, because we still have to have another discussion, on what we're planning to do, so. I'm okay with just featuring seniors if everyone else is.
I'm okay with that as well, but I believe you had a motion on the table that did not yet completed.
Okay, so I guess, if you guys are okay with it, I'll withdraw that motion and I'll just make a motion to recommend to the city council that we do a seniors only spotlight program. And I guess we could call it that now, right? Senior spotlight program?
So that clarifies what we're going to do.
Right, instead of a
Yes.
community program. And then if we want to pursue that other option, which would be like youth, then we could talk about that at another thing.
Sure.
Okay, so that's the motion to recommend to the city council that they approve the establishment of a senior spotlight program.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yeah, right, yes.
Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Nguyen,
Here.
Commissioner Baez,
Here.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana, Vice Chair Mulner,
Yes.
Chair Torres.
Aye.
So motion carried by a vote, 6-0 for us.
So, really quick question on that. So we're recommending that to the city council, so is that going to affect the timeline to bring it back? Because when would that get on their, I guess, agenda?
Well, it would not be for the next agenda. So you would really be looking at December,
Okay.
for something to be agendized.
Before, for sure before the January, the next January meeting?
The next opportunity would be December.
Okay. Because if it, for some reason, wasn't able to get on their agenda, then we couldn't talk about it, or we could still talk about it in January, right? Because it's just a free
In
one.
the past, what you would do at that time is just refine what you're looking to do.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, so as long as it's on.
And perhaps the council comes back with, and I'm just thinking, perhaps the council comes back with some direction for the commission, or the direction that they would like to see it go in. So you would still have a discussion in January. So you might, let's get it agendized and then we'll go.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 7, condition of the park bathrooms and potential improvements. This one is close to my heart. I know Mike, I've talked to you a lot about it. So, I don't know if you want me to lead in or you want to just kind of give your 2 cents on the condition of the bathrooms and how that's being handled. I know there were some contracts being kind of massaged, moved around, like for maintenance, so.
Obviously, we're trying to address the maintenance issue. I mean, we are watching the contractors closely. Contractors open and close the bathrooms, early in the morning and close them. They start late at night. They still use the bathrooms, things like that. We're trying to get people there in the middle of the day to oversee them because some of the stuff is the bathroom's getting cleaned in the morning, and then by 6 o'clock, when everybody shows up to use the park, all day long, the bathroom's either been vandalized or people have abused them or done whatever the case is. So a lot of stuff falls as the contractor doing their job or they're not. We've been very diligent in making sure the contractor is doing their job. They are going where they need to be. They are addressing small graffiti. In the contract, it stipulates that they take care of anything that's basically 10 inches by 10 inches. Anything bigger than that, Arctic takes care of. To give you an idea, I can show you pictures. We're painting every bathroom every week. We have 16 park bathrooms here, and we're painting every bathroom pretty close to every week. If not, if we can't get to it, it's because something came up. As you can tell, there's a lot of paint on those bathrooms, a lot of things like that.
And what was the measurement referring to again? I missed it.
The what?
The measurement is 16 by 16?
No, it's 10 by 10, I believe,
10
for
by
the
10.
contract. The contractor basically paints over something very small. They have a can of paint that they can pull out, and they can brush and paint stuff over, and that's something we've been watching on. But if it's you go in and there's a big piece in the bathroom, that would not be the contractor's responsibility.
Got it.
That would be our graffiti crew's responsibility.
That was there.
That being said, it is a task to stay on top of. Roxanne's been here a couple of weeks. She was in Shadow this last week. Shadow building, the bathroom there and the building there, we paint every week. So how we're attacking this is, we're definitely trying to look at the contract, see what we can improve, what we can do, what we can afford. We're completing a design we're getting a general design for all the park bathrooms throughout the city. They've all been pretty much built around the same time. So we're getting a generalized design where we can do things, Robert, I talked about hand dispensers or soap dispensers and blow dryers and those things numerous times. So we're trying to address those things in the plans. The goal will be to take that general set of plans and start monetizing and updating the bathrooms, putting in hand dryers that are hard to vandalize, take away some of the things that they like to break and do. At Delaware Park, you know, we've put, I can even tell you, 5 or 6 different hand dispensers in there, and we've been trying to find a way to put a better metal one in there that won't get broken out. Things are being ripped out of the walls. People put all kinds of things down the toilet that you'd never imagine. So these are all things that we're trying to stay on top of, be diligent, and definitely plan ahead on our designs moving forward. Also looking for ways to secure the bathrooms at night, so it's not simply just cutting a lock. You know, a lot of people were at the you know, Carol, you were at the dedication of the park, groundbreaking today for the bathroom court, at Shadow Oak, and the bathroom's already been designed. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. The bathroom's already built. So they craned it in, but we had lots of talk with the company, and we're trying to make sure that we can secure that so people aren't breaking in and sleeping in. You know, other than that, I don't really have much to expand on. You know, we're just really trying to be creative, find the resources to redo all the park bathrooms. And what I can do is next meeting, we should have the plans out for the next meeting, so I should be able to bring to the January meeting the general design for the 16 park bathrooms. That, you know, that is a majority of what we have.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that could be agendized for January.
We've got about half the plans, should be done in the next couple of weeks.
And there are those plans not to demolish the entire bathroom. They're basically remodeling the bathroom.
Basically gutted. Obviously tearing out, you know, bathrooms are expensive. Believe it or not, park bathrooms are very expensive. The bathroom actually was $400,000. So.
And prices are only going up.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah.
So how we're tackling this is we definitely want to address ADA issues because they were built before stuff. So we're addressing ADA, all those things where basically the walls would stay. If the roof's in good condition, it would stay. If not, it would be replaced, and then going to more modern features, you know, fixtures and things of that nature, and stuff that we hope will prevent vandalism and things that are easier to maintain. So yes, the outside structure will stay and the inside will all change.
Sorry.
Okay, so do we know if we have a funding source for that yet, like the construction?
Everything, you know, there's park district funds, there's all kinds of things. We have a funding source for 2 bathrooms, and the goal is to keep looking for ways to fund the others. You know, as projects go and development funds come in and things are allocated, that's the goal.
What are the 2 bathrooms?
Currently, right now, the plan is Cameron Park and Orangewood.
Mike, are the bathrooms open 24 hours?
No.
No, ma'am.
What
We
time
open
do
them.
they close?
It just depends because obviously the park maintenance contracts includes opening and closing the bathroom. So they open everything at dawn. They start opening everything at dawn, and then they close everything at dusk. Now, there is exceptions to that. For example, you know, leagues end at different times. So if you're at Cortez Park and you play football,
Yeah.
we've given them access to the bathrooms. They have keys to open and close, and we monitor them. If something's left open, we make sure to either contact the league or do whatever needs to be done. Also try to have our contractor make sure they show us that the building was locked, you know, so we know who's accountable for those things. But that's basically the time, you know. So this time the bathrooms will close earlier than they do in the summer.
Has anything been done to clean the Cameron Park restrooms? Because the last time I was here, I told you that I was telling you.
When you say
I play softball there at Cameron Park on Mondays and Fridays, and the last time I used it, which I haven't been back since, inside the restaurant because there was blood on the floor. And that blood, I can tell that comes from somebody using heroin. They go in there and use the restroom and they're dripping blood from the arm. And so that men's restroom it's disgusting, quite frankly. Has anything been done to clean it up since the last meeting? I brought this subject up last time.
we are making sure that the contractor's doing their job. I've been out every morning first thing to make sure that they're hosing down, that they're cleaning, doing what they're supposed to do. The problem we've had is what happens in the middle of the day. I can confirm that most of our, I've had some issues with graffiti, some small trash from every end of town, from Del Norte down to Friendship Park. I've been to every bathroom, and I can tell the contractor's doing a majority of what they're supposed to do with minor things that we need to adjust. That being said, senior softball, You have a problem, tell Les to reach out to me. Send them my way, and we'll get somebody out there. We'll do what we gotta
Talk to
do.
Les at least twice a week.
Yeah, you know, but Les knows how to get a hold of me. You got a problem, for all of you, I think we've all worked together for quite some time. If you get to us, like I said, we need eyes and ears. You let us know, we're gonna do what we can. Cameron's a priority, the bathroom needs a lot of work. There's also infrastructural issues, you know, the bathrooms are old, plumbing's old, there's no clean out, things of that. So we're trying to not only adjust just the amenities on the inside, but make sure that when we do have problems, we can get to it and fix it fast.
Yeah, the urinal doesn't flush, it's a button, if you got push, anyone doesn't flush.
Is the group familiar with the pull request app?
I was just gonna ask that.
Okay, and maybe that is something through the chair that we do agendas for the next meeting, that we spend some time showing you, you know, how to use the Go Request app, and then that way you can pass that information along, help us, you know, by passing that information along, and we'll do our part in just kind of highlighting that and making sure that the community is aware, because the things that you're discussing are all things that can be put on that Go Request app. It gets reported to where it needs to get reported to, and then there's an opportunity for it to get back, and like Mike said earlier, you know, that system seems to be working.
It's something we're training our staff on. We got, you know, I'm sure you've heard council talk numerous times about, you know, 10 new staff members coming on. It's a tool that we definitely want to use, and we want to communicate with you guys. You know, we want our guys taking pictures, showing you what they're doing. If they ramp a sidewalk, if, you know, plumbing's not working at the bathroom and they're out, we can say, hey, here you go. Because look, Robert and I talked, like hand dispensers at Delaware Park is a big problem. And he's like, Mike, you didn't replace it. Well, we have replaced it. So I want to make sure my guys are taking pictures, getting things back to you, and doing those things.
When did they replace?
They've been replaced 3 times in the last 4 months.
What was that?
3 times in the last 4 months.
No, that's the
Oh, Delaware.
Oh, no, what was replaced?
The soap dispensers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And they aren't lasting. So, you know, it's
So
something.
they've taken it out of that steel.
The steel, they've broken the steel thing and taken the sacks and pulled everything out of there. And they pulled everything out of that, and then we've gone to different dispensers that are now on the wall, and they pulled those off completely and kept them. And obviously some of them were cheaper models than others. So we have not been able to find something that we can consistently have there that's not going to be attacked, it's not going to be messed with. So, you know, that's something that in the plans we're really planning to address. You know, that's, we're asking for that.
If I may ask, what is it that they want out of there? Why are they taking it so many times? It's just simple vandalism? Or?
Yeah. George,
Wow.
I can't answer. There's a lot of things that happen. You know, I can't tell you why is it that when you put a toilet paper roll on the bars, because the bar, you know, you see the bars with toilet paper rolls, they hacksaw them in half. I don't know.
And that, you know, just piggybacking on what Mike just said, like that is not something that's unique to West Covina, believe it or not, that happens in other places. Things, you know, get vandalized and you're scratching your head trying to figure out, well, why would you take that, or why would you take that?
Yeah, because, I mean, that would help us try to figure out how to resolve it. If
Right.
there's a reason why, but there's just no reason. Wow. So, may I ask, what day was that on when you,
we have to have a card.
seen that?
Well, this was, I mentioned this in the last meeting we had, and this is in July.
At the beginning.
So now I haven't gone back to that restroom because now we use the restrooms that are behind the dining, because Les has a key to them, and right behind him plate. So ever since I saw the blood in the restroom, I had to keep your toe in there. I tried to avoid the blood. So that was back in late June or July.
So was it on Sunday or Monday?
And we're there on Mondays and Fridays, so.
Oh,
Monday,
so it was a weekday. Okay. Yeah, see, like Roxanne said, if you have the app on your phone, you can just take a picture right away since it's the week, and they can come and tackle that right away, right? I mean, because I'm sure you didn't have any way to contact anybody. You know, you just went on and just went and played your soccer and enjoyed your day. You know what I mean? So that having that app, that could be reported right away and taken care of right away, you know? So, yeah.
One last thing I would like to state, for example, you talked about the push button on the toilet. These bathrooms were built late 60s, maybe, you know, mid to late 60s. We are having issues finding parts for certain things. We have a problem with the push buttons. We have a problem with, if you're familiar with the sinks, you push a button and it's kind of like a water fountain, but it's kind of spring-loaded. It's not spring-loaded, it's like an air-loaded hose. So finding some of those parts and stuff is getting more and more difficult. So that's another thing that we're trying to tackle. Not to get off topic, but ball field lights. Our infrastructure is aging. We can't find replacement poles. You know, so these are some of the things that we're going through on our facilities and why things happen a little bit slower than we like at certain times.
Yeah, and talking about the app, maybe, I think we already discussed this in the last meeting too, about posting information about the app and phone number for people to report it, like on the restrooms, around the restrooms, so people would know
Signage.
to report this too, you know? Yeah.
So we can definitely come back in January with like a tutorial, you know, we will, and give and familiarize yourselves with the app so that you're comfortable with it, and we can definitely look at what you suggested about the postings and making that information more readily accessible.
Yeah.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, I think Deb is supposed to talk to the contractor for the app, right? And maybe you can include whatever, I guess, whatever updates are gonna happen to the app.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
So regarding the funding, so you were saying that Cameron Park and Orangewood are already funded for construction?
Correct.
So then how does that work as far as like prioritizing, timeline? Are we looking at like all the 16 restrooms getting done next year, or is it like 5 years, 10 years?
I can't speak on that. I can't give you a timeline because I don't know how it's going to go. I can tell you that definitely that we have 2 bathrooms that we have funding for that we are going to move forward. As soon as these plans are done, we're going to put it out to bid and we should be getting to council hopefully by, you know, our hope is February.
And what are those numbers looking like?
You know what, I don't know yet. Because that part of the design isn't there, but when we bring you the design, there will be an estimate cost with that. If you're asking me, I'm thinking, once again, this is just an estimate without getting the complete picture. 250, I think to not, 200 to 250 probably.
250, yeah. And I know this might be out of the realm, I guess, of your overview, but I know that we've received that money. I think it was from Amazon. It was the community benefit money. I forget how much it was. I think it was like $2 million that they're giving us they call it a community benefit. So then, how would we, I guess, recommend to the council for them to consider using that some of that money to fix the restrooms?
Number one, that money hasn't been realized quite yet. So I don't know, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves yet. It will be, it just hasn't been realized quite yet. Number 2, that is going to be a council decision.
Yeah, I know, I was just thinking that if we could recommend, because since we're the Community Services Commission, Community and Senior Services Commission, as a community benefit fund, whether they would want our input on what we would think that that money could go towards. So for example, bathrooms, right, what we're talking about now. So if they understand that the condition of the bathrooms are pretty dire, like you're describing, maybe they can have a more focused discussion on how to use that money, and maybe use that money for the bathrooms. Because you're saying $250 for each one, so that's $500,000 for 2. So maybe that $2 million could go towards improving 4 or 5 more bathrooms. That's something just that I was thinking about, but it's just going to be a recommendation. So I don't know how to verbalize that. If we want to bring something back, or we can just make a recommendation now to consider that. And they can make the decision. They can ignore it, or they can move to another project. But just so that they know, coming from the Senior Services Commission, that these are the needs that we think that can be best served with that money. So I don't know if you have any feedback on how to approach that.
I don't have any feedback for you at this time on that particular topic, or a method of approach right now.
Okay.
I can't speak. Roxanne would be more privy to that information than I. What I will tell you is in my time sitting in this chair and my short time with Roxanne, we're going to be advocates for parks. I've asked for, when COVID money came out, the first thing I asked for was $6 million for park renovations, and at that point I was figuring $400,000 of outcome. It's just something that we're going to continue to advocate for, push. I mean, we're looking to fix as much as we can. And I'm sure Roxanne's going to be a big help on that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, because I don't think it would hurt to just recommend that we consider exploring and using that money to fix the bathrooms, because my fear is that that money will disappear, right, to something else, and then the bathrooms will just stay in the condition they are. But to me, it seems like a golden opportunity, because that's money we weren't really anticipating like last year, right? Or, I don't know, when we found out that we were going to get the community benefit money, but I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I really don't have any direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's a little bit tough, because that's not really something that you would be prepared to speak about today. It's not something that's on the agenda. I get how, the conversation kind of segued to that, but I don't think that that's something that we could really, I'm seeing your heads nodding, really speak on tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah, that's not something that's agenda. So I would caution you right now.
no, yeah, that makes sense, so,
Yes,
once we get to
Yeah,
that point.
isn't all of that on the plans already within the city? They have their calendar and their budget is already budgeted to certain items. Isn't that the way it works here in the city?
Yes, you do go through, there is a budget cycle, so you do go through
So we
budget
can-
preparations, you do budget, that is true, but yeah, I think we should, if the topic of the community benefit fund is something that we want to discuss, and that's something that needs to be agendized.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Once we get to that part, I'll probably ask for it to be agendized.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, so as of the last time I went, there's no soap still in Del Norte, so
Hey, I've been thinking about you a lot. It's been a big problem.
hopefully it is. Honestly, I don't know if it's because I'm just getting there once it's broken, but for the last, I don't know, year, there's been no soap there. So I find it a little bit hard to believe that it's been replaced 3 times, to be honest with you, but if it has, every time I go, it's empty or broken again.
Well, I know that. I understand your skepticism. Next time it goes up, the next time Josh is out there, or somebody else is doing it, or it's myself, you'll do a picture for me.
Send me a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
Because
first go request.
and I think it's imperative too, because, yeah, it's just difficult right now because of the COVID thing, right? And so when I take my kids there, there's never soap, like for the last year at least, maybe 3 years. And to get their hands washed, it's just like, and plus the bathrooms are in the condition they are, so I don't know. If something has to be done to get soap there, maybe reconstruct that thing, bolt it down, put maybe those automatic ones where you're not pushing them. Because I'm guessing that's what's breaking them, right? They might just be yanking on that thing. Something that needs to be done just to have that sanitary component.
I would take the recommendation for the power, right, for the power soap dispenser, something that maybe we can just put like a little, because I'm trying to put everything behind the wall. Like if we have to get rid of paper towels, we're going to go to hand dryers. We're going to do something small that's not sticking on the wall. So that's something we'll consider on the plans. The problem now is there's no power in the walls. So it's not simply putting something in, it's running power, and it's a little hard to do that.
Conduit, yeah.
But I will take that recommendation and make sure it's in the, see what we can do and what they recommend in the design of the bathroom.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing I'll say about that, the design is a generalized design for all 16 bathrooms. So the good thing is once this is finalized, it's not like we have to go to the design again. Funds become available, there'll be a matter of just bidding the bathrooms because we have the design.
Right, yeah.
It's something we currently don't have.
And when do they remove the graffiti, like, throughout the day, just based on the calls, or is it like a daily thing?
It depends. I mean, like I said, our goal is to get it in 48 hours. I mean, to be honest, our goal is to get it in 24 hours.
Right.
But, we do have to prioritize. If somebody's hit the back of Shadow Oak and they've done a piece that's 6 feet tall by 30 feet long, we're gonna get that first before we go do something in the park bathroom. So it just kind of depends how everything's prioritized, it depends on manpower. There's factors in there, but our goal is to get it by 48 hours. And, that's something we're really pushing. I can't say we do it every time, but I know that we're pushing really hard to do that. And obviously, we're prioritizing the city itself. We want nothing on walls anywhere. We want walls matching, so we're spending a lot of time doing that.
Makes sense. Okay, so in January, you could come back with a report on, I guess, the progress for the bathrooms. Any other questions? All right, so we'll move on to item 8. Oh, actually, before we move on to item 8, I just have a question. Do I have the power to open up the oral communication here as a chair? I think we have somebody who wants to speak.
If there's consensus, or if there's, that's the direction that the commission wants to go. So it's not just the power through the chair, it's the body.
Okay, so are you everyone comfortable with letting the person speak for oral communication? Okay.
Just keep in mind though that, I understand, that you're doing that. I would recommend that you would do a formalized vote on that.
Okay.
Just because it is agendized a certain way. And while yes, I understand that you want to give the public the opportunity to speak, that way it's just a little bit of slippery slope, but that's what kind of protects you. If the group as a whole makes that,
Okay.
have a motion and a vote.
Okay. So I'll motion to reopen public oral communications. Do I have a second? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Diaz, Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Lian,
Here.
Commissioner Valles,
Abstain.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana, Vice Chair Mulner,
Yes.
Chair Torres.
Yes. All right, so
Motion
the member of the
by a
public-
vote of 5 to 1 with 4 absent. 1 abstain, 4 absent.
So for the member of
I
the
think you guys missed one.
Did you call Commissioner Munoz? Yes. Okay.
Are you a yes or no?
Yes. Thank you.
So for the member of the public that's here, did you want to speak on something?
I just had a question.
Sure.
Really. I know you're talking a lot about the bathrooms and stuff, and the question was posed to me yesterday by people in the homeless community. And it was that they are using the bathrooms because there's no other place for them to wash up. Okay, so when they see the soap dispensers and things like that, because the bathroom is only open from this hour to that hour, the intent is not to vandalize, but they feel like they don't have any option other than to use what's there. And since it's harder to, for instance, unroll the tissue for women's needs, it's faster to cut it, to take the roll, and then where they are, it's a system. They are able to share it. Does that make sense? And I think I saw somewhere, because I just read this briefly today, that you're setting up some kind of a mobile system to kind of get to the homeless and stuff like that. I don't know if it was this one or the city council. It was something that I read. I guess my question is there an option sometime, I don't know, I don't even know how you would do it, but could supplies like tampons and, little dispensers of soap, because I started doing it like 2 years ago, where I would kind of budget $10 per person and buy tampons and soap and shampoo and those things, and then just hand them to them. Is that an option, or that's just not viable?
I can't answer that. I mean, first, I want to say I appreciate these recommendations.
Uh-huh.
What you said about, that didn't cross my mind, so when we go back and look at designs, those are things that I'm going to send back. Obviously, there is a cost, so figuring out if that's attainable or not, I don't know. But these are all things that I'm going to take back, and when we design these things, definitely look at.
And there are a lot of nonprofit agencies that provide hygiene kits.
Yeah, there are. And so, my thought is, because, see the time frame you have is when the people that are legitimately trying to wash up, you know what I mean? Because especially the women that have disabled kids. The other concern is a lot of the women have been victims of domestic violence, and they're repeatedly being sexually assaulted. So locks on the door that are more secure, because once those gates are unlocked, other than that stall door, if it's not broken, they don't have any protection. And they're really just terrified for the kids.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can look at the.
So, I'm sorry, I do have one question, clarification.
Sure, go
So,
ahead.
does it need to be a complete door, or you just better locks on a door that still, the bathroom, now you've got the block, most of our bathrooms are block wall, and you come in and you have the partition, and obviously the locks do break quite a bit, and it's something we have a hard time staying on top of. So, are you talking a full door that can actually lock, or are you talking just a better lock on that partition?
I think for right now, because money is an issue, if it's just a better lock, because at least if somebody's coming from under the door, for right now, they can try and get out, or they can scream so that someone else, who typically somebody's supposed to be watching for them, can come. So the idea is just to put something that's harder than just to kick and come in.
That was on our, that has been on our radar. Obviously, that's something that we want to take care of. So,
thank you.
That's a very good point, and we appreciate that, because by law in the restrooms, you can't have cameras. You can't, and if somebody's getting physically abused in there, nobody would know. So that's actually a very good point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, you said it would be helpful to have hygiene kits, it would be...
Yeah, that was one of the things that I started doing 2 years ago, because they kept running into like the 99-cent store stealing. And so I would only buy my supplies from the 99-cent store and then hand out actual kits, which kept them out of there for a while. And the understanding was that if you do something to the store, I'm not going to give you this, and I'm not going to feed you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would that have to also go to the city council, so the council would know what's going on in those bathrooms?
Probably PD.
They can't get there in time. I mean, yes, you notify the PD, and the women do report it. It is reported, but honestly, it happens so frequently.
It's just not enough.
Well, at least for the hygiene issues, I know that there's some sort of, I've seen them in public restrooms, I guess, inside of shopping centers and malls, and they have that dispenser, like a hygiene dispenser. Maybe that could be something that could be explored as far as the remodeling goes, if we could put that in. No?
Because they will take it for what you put in it.
Yeah.
So it might
You
be a
need to
bigger
be there
problem.
during the hours they're there. The women are not going to try to get into those bathrooms at night. That's not who's doing that at night.
So it probably have to be like a service program.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
As needed.
Because I know that we are working with some of the nonprofits on some sort of homelessness program, right?
Yeah.
What was it called again? I can't remember. Coalition?
Well, there's a number of them, the Coalition for the Homeless, the St. David Valley Call.
Yeah, the consortium.
Right, Union Station, there are navigators, housing navigators in a number of the neighboring cities here.
I'm referring to the one that I think, Gary Lopez Villado is kind of heading up. It's like the other organizations to have something going on in the park. No.
The churches, some of the churches do,
Yeah, they're
but only
working
on
with the
certain
churches,
days.
Yeah.
Only on certain days.
Maybe if you, next in January, add that and come back and see if we could get a report on what's going on with that. Because I've seen it. I don't know if it's been formalized, but I know that Councilman Wu and Mayor Lopez Villado met with the churches, and they're forming some sort of homeless coalition. I forget if it's called that or not, but it's some sort of effort to address the parks and homelessness issues.
If I may suggest, that this, when she said all this information, it was pretty shocking and very, like, actually appreciated. So I'm thinking, I mean, she only has so much knowledge. So I'm kind of thinking, like, before, presenting that, maybe you guys can reach out to some battered women's shelters and get more ideas. I mean, maybe we can just tackle all that at one time, and just get everything you can. That way it's all done, right the first time, Yeah.
Well, the missions in downtown Los Angeles give out those type of kits that you're talking about. Because I worked at Skid Row for 27 years as a police officer. And we can reach out to the homeless in downtown, see how they go about
Yeah,
those kits.
that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great, yeah. Definitely.
She answered a lot of questions.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But thank you for your comments.
So, thank you.
So with that, I'll close oral communications again, and we'll move on to item number 8. This was the Community and Senior Services Outreach Enhancement. Okay, so this, I'm trying to remember, it's been so long, but kind of forget. When was our last meeting? July. Okay, so this was like our discussion for community outreach and how we can enhance it. So I'm okay with, if you guys are okay with, we'll just move that to January. Because that's going to be a lengthy discussion that I don't think we want to have at this point. So, and it's not urgent, but it's basically looking at how we can enhance how we outreach. Whether, like you were saying, through the Discover letter, social media, how we advertise events, even how we, I guess, carry ourselves internally. Like, do we want to have like better outreach on the website? Do we want to have like our pictures so that people can know who we are and contact us if they have issues? All sorts of things we can talk about, but that's something that I think we can move till January. So, do I need to make a motion to have that moved, or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to move or continue item number 8 to our January meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yeah,
Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz,
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen,
Aye.
Commissioner Valles,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana, Vice Chair Mulner,
Yeah.
Chair Torres.
Yes. All right, now on to continued business. This was a request to discuss the commission's existing subcommittees. Okay. So the existing subcommittees, I think that was something I kind of brought up last time. I think Deborah was the one that was kind of going to clarify what our existing subcommittees were, because remember there was confusion on that. So that's all the discussion was about. We had to reorganize our existing subcommittees because right now we have a homelessness subcommittee with Commissioner Munoz, myself, and Commissioner Gutierrez. And we also have Commissioner, I forget who was the commissioner that we want to be part of our group. but anyway, the existing member of the homelessness subcommittee let us know that they no longer wanted to be part of that. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing right now, confirming everybody's position in the subcommittees and then reorganizing as needed to make sure that everyone's okay with being on those subcommittees.
Through the chair, the list is on the agenda, the staff report. I have, under capital improvement, I have Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Nguyen, Commissioner Torres, and Commissioner Velez.
Where is it? I'm sorry.
It's on the staff agenda, item number 9 in your packet.
Oh, number 9, okay, yeah. Give me a second.
It's the second to the last page.
Second to the last page?
Yeah.
Second to the last page. All right.
Everybody find it?
See, I found it any, because it was all collected, so meeting.
Yeah, I believe I was on the homeless one, and then I let you have that. Yeah, so I think that's, they need to put your name, do you remember that?
I vaguely, I remember
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay, so the first, I guess, action we want to make is that Commissioner Molnar be added to the homelessness subcommittee.
Okay, we are reorganizing in March, and that's when we put new members on committees. And
Okay,
our
so
creating
if,
committees. We
okay.
do our reorg every March, that's what the staff report states.
So if Commissioner Nguyen doesn't want to be on it, then he just has to stay on it until March.
He doesn't have to stay on it, but if there's meetings, he doesn't have to participate.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember giving it to what's her name? Yeah. Carol, because she wasn't on the committee, I remember doing that.
I was gone I was out of town.
Yeah,
at that meeting.
so what I was trying to get at was I don't think these are correct. So I don't know if it's necessarily a reorganization, it's just a correction, because I remember that too, that Commissioner Nguyen, at the time when we were organizing, it was decided that Commissioner Molnar would take that spot, and then I know we had that meeting that wasn't recorded.
Yeah, that
And
was
I
in
think that
meeting.
meeting was when we made the changes, so, is that possible to be just a change or a correction?
It was verification of notes by several people that took notes, so, if you want to make a motion to do that, you can, but we are going to reorganize again in March.
Yeah, I'm okay with making the motion if everyone else is, so that way, Commissioner Molnar can join our next subcommittee meeting for homelessness.
Sure.
Because we're gonna meet before March. Okay, so I'll make a motion to, remove Commissioner Nguyen and add Commissioner Molnar to the homelessness subcommittee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call please.
Commissioner Diaz, Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz. Aye. Commissioner Nguyen,
Aye.
Commissioner Baez,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Zaplana, Vice Chair Muller,
Yes.
Chair Torres.
Yes. So the CDBG, is that, everyone okay with that? We have Commissioner Gutierrez, Munoz, Torres, and Williams. So I want to say that there's an error there too, because Commissioner Nguyen was on the CDBG, or we weren't.
His was, he didn't want to be on the phone.
Okay, so it's right. Yeah, no, that one's correct.
I don't
That one was
remember.
correct.
Yeah, the CDBG is correct, right?
Yeah, he was listed on the homeless and that, we fixed that.
Okay, perfect. So, but we don't have Gutierrez, but I'm hoping that she can confirm and Williams, but hopefully. Okay, we'll keep that as is. And then the capital improvements is correct, right? The playground group? Yeah, okay.
That's good.
All right. Okay, with that, move on. I don't think we need a motion. We could just receive and file the report. We already made a motion to make a change. Alright. Okay, next, we have the San Gabriel, item number 10, San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments Regional Homeless Mental Health and Crisis Study Update.
We brought this up at the last meeting, time was conducting focus groups as well as a survey letter that you sent out. Appreciate you sending that out. A consultant prepared the report presented it to the public steering committee. What's come out and that is they're going to start the pilot program and fund that for an 18-month period. So they're still trying to retain a contract at this point. They're in the process of developing an RFP based on letters of interest that they received. Measure H money for this round and likely moving forward is not coming directly from the county. It'll be through Columbus to cities. And so the San Diego Valley College has 31 member cities. Anticipates $3.5 million for the 18-month period, and they're going to make 3.2 of that available. And they have four program areas that are going to fund at this time in equal shares of $800,000. So one of those is the mobile response team. So cities who are interested submit letters of interest. They're developing an RFP, which should be released sometime before the end of the year, and they hope to have a contract on board. We submitted a letter of interest. Of those four program areas, they asked us to rank those programs and what we wanted because we realized that there's not a lot of money available. 3.2 million amongst 31 cities for an 18-month period isn't a lot. So we were asked to rank those. This was not on the high end. For a variety of reasons, just because they're anticipating matching funds being required. They're also anticipating getting into the emergency response network of the city, and so there's concern about that, and potential changes in operating procedure for public safety. So without those things being fleshed out, really kind of, it wasn't ranked particularly high, but we'll see how it comes back.
So when you say it wasn't ranked particularly high, is that the mobile response?
Yes. Right. There was another program that was ranked high. That was it's called the HRT. It's a hard to reach team. It's targeting folks who are more the chronic homeless, who substance abuse, mental health. It would be working with DMH, Department of Mental Health, as well as the Tri-Cities mental health programs, and we're working with those folks. And we're finding that's a large part of the population here, our housing navigators and the Union Station Homeless Services. It's finding that that's a large part of the population that needs to be addressed.
And you said that was the hard to reach team?
Yes.
Okay. And that ranked high?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the college just asked the cities, understanding that there's not a lot of money available, concern was, I believe, one, hard to reach based on our feedback. And, four, and there's a city program that we proposed as community outreach that we're doing with kind of Union Station is providing that currently. We don't know if that will be a contract moving forward or if the probably depending on what they have funding available. And then fourthly, there's the talk will be identifying gaps in service across the valley and come up with a couple of programs that the cities can operate to.
And then most of what you touched on is summarized in the background here, or
I'm sorry?
most of what you summarized, is it also included
yes.
in the background in the staff report?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, the programs are not because the programs were released and so
Okay.
I can send you that information over.
Yeah, if you could send it to the commission, just so they can see it. And then, yeah, and then from our end, I don't recall the date, Commissioner Munoz, but I know that we have a meeting coming up,
I think it's November 16th.
16th.
I can double check.
Because we volunteered to be part of their, I'm losing the name now, what is it called again? I forget, it's a advisory group, there you go, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's an advisory group to that program, to the crisis response program. So I just found out from Caitlin from the cloud, Caitlin Sims, and she said I could be part of that. So I also invited Commissioner Munoz and Commissioner Gutierrez to be part of that. So it's like an advisory. So I think what the plan is to basically get the same report that you got or that you just gave on what their status is on their findings.
That's probably
Yeah.
that this work prepared by the consultant.
Right. So, just to let everyone know that, and now that you're on the homelessness committee, I'll forward that over if you want. Interested, it's a Zoom meeting,
Oh,
so
cool.
you should be able to join us
Sure,
and learn about what they're doing.
good.
Is that an open meeting?
That's on November 16th.
It's a virtual, I think it's I didn't really pay attention. I just assume everything's virtual nowadays, but I think it is, yeah. So I'll verify.
It's scheduled for Tuesday, November 16th at 2:30. Let me see if it's.
Okay, so just a side note, but the information you provided is really helpful too, because it'll give us a little bit of insight going into the meeting. All right, any questions from anybody on the report for the homelessness efforts from the San Diego Valley Cog?
Okay, it's virtual. I'll forward the email to you.
All right.
All right, with that, thank you, Kelly, for the update, and we'll move on to our ad hoc committee reports. So, I don't know if anyone else has anything to report, because I don't know if we've met, but we were finally able to meet for our homelessness subcommittee. We met at Panera Bread, Jennifer Gutierrez, Commissioner Munoz, and myself, and we just talked about a lot of the different aspects of what we can do as a homelessness subcommittee. We talked about all the things we knew about, including what you just gave an update on. And so our hope is to, in the future, come back to the entire commission with some ideas on how we can, I guess, help with the homelessness issue, and ultimately come up with some sort of recommendation, like a comprehensive recommendation that we could make to the city council to help them make decisions. But I know there's a million things already going on, so it's not something new. There's all these efforts going on, but our hope is to at least contribute in some way. So we did meet, and we hope to meet again, hopefully in the next few months, if we can. So you'll be included now.
Thank you.
All right, any other ad hoc committee reports? None? Okay. So any commissioners' reports on anything that you would like to talk about or report on?
I'll start.
Yeah.
I belong to the West Covina Women's Club, and as a member, I've been, this is awful, I'm sorry, I have been requested to be a liaison between the goings-on of the city and the women's club. So that's kind of what my job is with them. Also, I attended last Friday night, I believe it was, a birthday party at the Historical Society for two of our oldest residents, and best known, what's her name, Corliss Reneke, whose son was the coach for the Angels and the Dodgers and had a long career in baseball with her son. She's 92 years old. And they had a big birthday party for her, and also for Carolyn Arndt, who is formed the West Covina Improvement Association. And it was a beautiful night, except that not a single person from the city was there. Nobody, except me. And it was lovely. And it was right over in the old town there, at the Historical Society. And then this morning, of course, with Mike and
It's okay, Roxanne.
Roxanne,
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I knew
No,
it.
it's okay.
I got to meet her this morning, and we did the groundbreaking for the restrooms at Shadow Oak Park, and that's pretty exciting, especially for a resident of that area. So those are the things that I'm involved in right now. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go. Well, I attended the event at the Big League Dreams of employee recognition. I thought that was really nice. It's the first time I've ever experienced something like that within our city. The food was good, the announcements were good, and it was exciting to see like the police department there, the fire department, you know, them recognizing all of them. So that's what I have to report. It was great.
I don't have anything to report. Well, due to my vision, I'm not driving, so there's no way I can participate in any of the events. And sorry to say that I miss doing that. So hopefully pretty soon I'll be able to participate more actively.
Well, if you ever need a ride, you can let me know. I'm sure other commissioners would be happy to pick you up as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Betty, just let us know. In my 20 years here, I don't think you've missed much.
Yeah.
I have nothing to report.
When did you go to the Big Extreme Church? When was this?
That was, I'm trying to remember. It was, I know for sure it was on a Saturday, but I don't remember the date.
The State of the City?
Yeah,
It was on a Thursday night.
I actually met Mike Crescent there, seen Mike Crescent there.
Mike's everywhere.
Yeah.
He just is.
I was there today at the Big Extreme on Tuesdays. We have practice softball practice.
Oh, okay.
And I met a gentleman who preps the fields. I guess there's 4 fields there. I'm not sure. One.
6 fields.
Six, okay. And the one gentleman, Spencer Rich, he's the only one that preps the fields, works by himself. I didn't say he works Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So I asked him today, would you like some help? Would you like the work or to help you? And he was a little modest. He was like, oh, I must be in trouble. No. Okay. I said, but would you like some help? Would you like this second work to come help you? Because that would be nice. It would be nice to. He's the only one that does it. And that's a lot of work. I would think it's a lot of work to prep 6 fields.
He said he's the only one that does it?
Yes.
Is that in the evenings or in the mornings?
We were there for early, at 9 o'clock.
Oh, so the seniors are playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays there now?
Well, we practice on Tuesdays and we play on Thursdays.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can tell you,
And your group has always pretty much done field meetings. I mean, from when I remember at Cameron, you guys have always done your own field
we do
meetings
it
and stuff
ourselves,
like
yeah.
that.
We do it ourselves at Cameron.
So Spencer might have been there by himself this morning, but when it's, in the evenings and when we run on weekends, it's not one person.
No, it's not like that.
Okay, so, and I don't believe there's any other fields being utilized except when you're there except for one, correct?
Yeah. And Bob's the one that told me he's the only worker, but I asked Spencer, you were the only working? And he said he was.
I can't speak for every second of every minute there, but like I said, we don't run on one staff person in the evening.
But he does a good job. He pretty feels.
Spencer's been with us for quite a bit. He's a good employee.
Yeah, he was really nice. I said, I don't want to start in trouble. I'm okay. And I said, would you like some help? I'm the second person. He goes, that would be nice. So, yeah.
All right, we have the Halloween kind of updates. The trunk or treat at the complex went really well. Orangewood Soccer Complex took part in that. That was really fun. And then I'm not sure if you were involved in the closing of the streets for the Halloween area there. That was really awesome. I was there was about 2,000 people there.
Yeah, I forgot to say that on mine, yeah.
So whatever happened to make that happen, make it keep happening. And, it was really good and it was really safe.
Yeah.
There was no cars. So yeah, I took my kids down all those houses and it was really good. So the more we can do of that, the better. That's all I have. So we'll move on to items to be agendized. I already mentioned a few, so I don't know if I need to repeat. Anything that you want to talk about next? Because we only meet 2 months and sometimes it's 4 months. Mm-hmm. So anything you have on your mind, if you notice, there's all the stuff was me this time on this agenda. So don't be afraid. Even the minor things, throw it out there. If you want to agendize on January, and if it's a full agenda, then we'll move it to the next one, but at least get it out there. Any issues you want to have on the agenda.
I don't have any items.
All right.
One thing I would like to add on the next agenda is the city providing more events for the special needs kids and artistic. I have a few people who reached out to me, and I was talking to them about what did they do this weekend, and they said, oh, we actually went to an event with my daughter because she has special needs in Pasadena or in Arcadia. And I said, oh, you have to drive so far out there. What about somewhere more local? She said, oh, West Kennedy doesn't have anything for kids with special needs, any kind of events. And I said, well, thanks for telling me, because maybe I can bring that up in my next commissioners meeting. So maybe we can, talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good idea.
Really good.
Excellent idea.
Yeah.
So then maybe something to the effect of what kind of events we could put on. Maybe look at other cities like University and Arcadia and Pasadena, something that we could do. I know we have a few inclusive playgrounds.
Maybe one should be opening up real soon.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be here in January, so hopefully by March that'll be up and running.
Yeah. So. Good. All right. Nothing else to add? Does anyone else have anything they want to talk about? All right. So let's go on to upcoming events. Any questions? And I'm not going to go through every one.
No.
Or do you guys want to, the staff want to go through every single one?
I do have one to add to it. Faith Community Church does every year a turkey dinner gathering and distribution. And they are going to be doing that next week. I can email the actual dates that they're going to be combining the boxes together. They combine the boxes together on one day, and the next day they go and deliver them to the school districts. So I'll send that information out to you. I didn't have enough information, but I'll get it tomorrow at our community service group meeting.
Where is that going to be held?
The community service group meeting or the turkey dinners? The community service group meeting will be here tomorrow at 4:30. That's where all the nonprofits get together with our community service, we call them community service groups, to discuss upcoming events and how we can help each other with those events and stuff. So that'll be here tomorrow at 4:30. And then the turkey dinner distribution, I'll send that information to you. I'm not positive times, but it'll be at Faith Community Church on Badillo. I believe it's next Wednesday and Thursday is when they'll be doing it, but I'll get more information for you. And I'll email that out to you. So that's something you might want to participate in, as well as helping with the community, distributing the boxes and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If anyone's free, once we have the information.
Yeah.
I just have a little note on there, so the dates, I think they might be wrong, because this one says Wednesday and this says Thursday, so you said tomorrow is the community service group meeting?
Tomorrow is the community service group meeting. Yes,
Okay,
at
so
4:30.
then, I think the salute to our veterans is the 11th?
That's on Thursday. Oh, I'm sorry, the seniors, here at Senior Center is that, yes.
So that, should that be November 11th then?
No, the
No.
senior center is holding their event on,
Day
November 10th. What the issue is the day of the week, it should be Wednesday,
It
November.
should be Wednesday, right?
Correct. Small typo.
Yes, it's all right.
Alright, cool. Just making sure.
And then the Veterans Day for citywide is, on Thursday. At the City Hall courtyard.
Oh, okay. So salute to our Veterans Day celebration will be here. Okay. All right. Any other questions on the event? No? Okay. So that's it. So with that, I'll move to adjourn today's meeting at 8:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there always this many community members?
This is the small thing that you want. But most of the time, there's nobody. You're always welcome.